Time now for Media Watch. James Credence here with the computer, with all the stories and lots of enthusiasm. James, there was a lot of noise yesterday surrounding this interview with the self-described, self-proclaimed, who knows whether he is a trader or not. We don't know, do we? Alessio Rastani. Now, there are fresh developments. Tell us all about it.
Everybody was wondering, is he really a trader or not? Because what did he say? He said that every night he goes to bed dreaming of another recession. And lots of other things like that.
Sounds like something a trader would say.
I suppose. Some people were saying, actually, just in terms of what the reaction was, let's have a look at Twitter first. You had the business editor for the BBC saying, actually, he's just saying what traders have privately said to me in the past. He also said at some other point, this is...
But does Robert Pester know the guy? That's I suppose, the acid test, isn't it?
He didn't, I think, originally, but he was convinced by what he said. He said, look, this is a must-watch if you want to understand the euro crisis and how markets work. But then the thing is, there was all the speculation as to whether or not he was just some prankster trying to give traders a bad name. But he wasn't. He is sort of not... He's not a prankster, but he's certainly not what he said he was. So the Telegraph went and interviewed him, and what they determined is that he owns a small little public speaking venture, which is £10,000 in the red. So he's not exactly the successful kind of city trader that he kind of made himself out to
maybe
be.
He should change careers.
Well, he's pretty convincing, right? And he's told the Telegraph, they approached me, I'm an attention seeker. Trading is like a hobby. It's not a business. I'm a talker. I talk a lot. And I love the whole idea of public speaking. So the BBC were sort of had a little bit. And the sort of ironic thing, I suppose, is that this came very soon after another incident over at ITV, where they had a documentary about Gaddafi funding and giving weapons to the IRA. This is in the mid-80s. Now, it turns out that as part of the production of that documentary, they used a video game which they had downloaded off the internet as part of the videos. Now, they thought it was footage showing a 1988 IRA attack on a British Army helicopter, and they got that one badly wrong. They've had to apologise for what they've called a human error.
Just let me recap that. So this is actual footage put into this documentary, which was of a video game, and they were saying this was evidence of Gaddafi supplying arms, which led to an attack by the IRA on British troops.
That's right, and the video game is called Arma 2.
That is a huge
It's
error.
really, really embarrassing. And actually, I have it's up on YouTube already. You can see, of course. And here is, I think we have a couple of seconds of that footage. Now, it does look very real life, which is just a compliment to the people who put the video game together. Certainly not a compliment to
what about basic,
ITV.
I mean, James, you're asking the same questions. What about journalistic checks? What about journalistic integrity? What about vetting stuff? What about getting it right?
Exactly.
These are the things you've got to ask
now,
about.
the Daily Mail, amongst many other media, were asking that. I suppose you could say, are the Daily Mail the best people to be giving lessons? But in any case,
asking the question,
they're asking the question, why are TV folk so gullible? And I suppose the point being, especially for, I suppose, news channels, there's a big pace of kind of getting stuff up and running, and you can vet everything as much as as best you can. But sometimes, such as Mr. Rastani, people get through the cracks.
Sometimes people, pull off stunts to fool people. We were the victim of the hoax regarding the Syrian ambassador not that many months ago. So let's hold our hands up and say it can happen.
Right. So it's an interesting, I suppose, analysis of maybe the pitfalls of TV and vetting and of guests and all that kind of stuff.
Can we move on to not my youth, but certainly my mid to late 20s and talk about Nirvana?
That's right. Now, it's 20 years since the release of Nevermind, which was their first album. It was a massive transition from punk rock to, I suppose, what was the genre? Grunge. There you go. Thank you. At least
hold your jeans, long hair, don't get washed.
So a couple of things have happened for the 20th anniversary. They've tracked down, again, the guy who appeared on the cover of that album. It was only a baby.
So this album
now.
covers one of the iconic sort of album covers, isn't it? And the baby. So they've tracked down the baby who's now 20 years old.
That's right. There
Fantastic.
he is. They tracked, and there he is now. This was a photo taken some time ago, so that's him 20 years on.
Yeah.
He's trying to make it an acting now, given that 30 million copies of this album were sold. So I suppose that's a bit of publicity. And this was in 2001 for the 10th anniversary, where he recreated the video. And he has, I suppose he's being a bit cheeky, he's called himself the biggest porn star in the world in the past, seeing as he appeared naked.
What he's referring to being a naked baby on the
I don't think it's quite pornography, but there you go. That's his take on it. Now,
great album. I'm glad it's back out.
Absolutely, and it's back out now, and Slate is talking about it. And apparently, what they've done is they've released a remastered version, the version that Kurt Cobain himself most liked. He didn't like the glossy radio sound that was released at the time, and this was the version he best liked. So let's have a listen to a little extract of it to play us out.
Well, I like the album version, and I like that version. Excellent stuff. James Creedon, thank you very much indeed. James
Thanks,
Creedon with Media Watch.